Welcome to the Now. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
I'm John Reisinger.
Ever since the Switch got announced, one of the biggest questions surrounding Nintendo's new handheld console is how long the battery's gonna last, because nobody wants a repeat of Game Gear's terrible portability.
I wasn't cool enough to have a Game Gear, but I already knew that they were bad just from other people who had them.
Yeah, it made me feel better that I didn't have one.
Nintendo claims that the Switch's battery life is 2 to 6 hours, with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the system's flagship launch title, weighing in on the low end of the spectrum at 3 hours. Or so Nintendo's claimed, but there's fine print involved with that one.
Yeah, so we've decided to mad science our way through a number of battery tests since we got our Switch, so we thought we'd give you guys the breakdown plus some recommendations if you truly plan on making this your portable gaming solution, because you're gonna need some help from some extra gadgets to stretch your on-the-go playtime.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about the Switch's actual portable battery life when playing Zelda.
Yes, let's do that.
Yeah, is Nintendo's 3-hour estimate correct? Well, yes and no, depending on how you look at it. We ran through a few scenarios specifically with the screen brightness at max, where we clocked in closer to 2.5 hours. However, by turning the brightness all the way down, we did get almost exactly 3 hours. 3 hours, 2 minutes, to be precise.
So, can you get 3 hours on Zelda? Yes, as long as you're willing to compromise the experience a little bit to stretch the battery. Honestly, the brightness all the way down is still plenty unless you're blasting into the sun itself or, in direct sunlight with a bunch of glare, I guess. So, compromise? Yes. Poor experience? No, not really. It played just fine.
Since the Switch is also meant to be portable, we tried to see over the weekend how we could drain and recharge it in a number of different ways.
Yeah, so using the Switch's adapter on the go might not always be an option available to you. For one, it's not exactly tiny. Here we go. Oh, I fell off my box.
The illusion is gone.
Yeah, the illusion, it's all ruined. So this is the charger. It's not low profile, but it's got a decent footprint compared to other on-the-go devices. Like, you can't just fold this up and chuck it in a pocket.
It's as big as big old lithium-ion batteries is what it is.
Yes. Also, if you're on the go, you might not always have access to a plug. Still, if you're carrying around a charging cable for your laptop, it's really no different.
Yeah.
You get used to it. It's not the most convenient, but it's the most effective.
The bigger issue is that not everybody will want to climb behind their you are literally swinging around like your only plug that was given to you by Nintendo, and you just dropped it on the ground. Where's the respect?
We have no respect.
The bigger issue is that not everybody will want to climb behind their TV and unplug the Switch adapter every time they take the Switch out of their house. And if you find yourself traveling without access to a wall plug for long periods of time, that could also be a problem.
Yeah. Before we go any further, just to be clear, your best option is the out-of-the-box factory Nintendo charger.
The one on the ground right now.
Yeah, no surprises there. It supplies enough power to charge the Switch most efficiently. The console fully charges in 3 hours. We tested this a few times just to make sure. Nintendo's official specs list a 3-hour charge time as well, but we wanted to see for ourselves since they did require some specific scenarios to reach the stated 3-hour battery life of Breath of the Wild. It's also the only charger we've had hands-on time with that can actually charge fast enough to offset the battery drain and keep the gameplay going indefinitely. Otherwise, plan for some downtime.
That 3 hours, by the way, is better than you'll get with most other USB chargers. With most of those, you're looking at more like 8 or 9 hours for full charge.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, that's if you leave the console in standby while it's eating all that power.
Yes, and that's because most USB-C plugs are for mobile devices, which have a set standard power output with their chargers that's much lower than Switch's. You can try a variety of them to charge your Switch if you're on the go without too many problems. It's not going to hurt the Switch, but just know it's going to take a lot longer in some cases. And depending on the charger, it might not be safeguarded correctly against power fluctuations that could potentially damage the Switch, since chargers are meant for their specific devices usually.
Fortunately, most mobile devices are built to manage the power input, meaning there's probably not much risk in trying other adapters. But in the end, it's always better to be safe than sorry, so the factory adapter is going to be the best bet. You can get a replacement for $30 if you don't want to unplug it from the entertainment center every time you leave the house.
However, if you're curious about how other chargers fared, we did try some of those out too, because, I don't know, who knows, maybe you'll find yourself in a pinch and the only thing you have available is a USB-C cable and you just any old USB plug. Because let's be honest, USB plugs are pretty much everywhere now.
Yeah.
And when is all said and done, if you're not using the Nintendo charger, your best case scenario for the more common USB plugs is to find one that puts out 5 volts and 2.4 amps. They all say somewhere on them what their output is. We picked up This one from Best Buy just this morning is like $12. It's nowhere near as beefy as the stock Nintendo one, which puts out 15 volts and 2.6 amps, but this is 5 volts and 2.4 amps. So it's something at least. And the 15 volts, 2.6 amps, that's the max Nintendo Switch is rated to. So you can get one up to that point. Good luck finding one. But even this is better at least than the 5 volt 1 amp plugs you find all over the place. Like if you have an iPhone native USB plug, by the way, that's what that is. Those aren't doing you any favors. You may not as well even have it plugged in at that point.
Yeah, that 5 volt 2.4 amp plug isn't enough to fully offset the power, and you just dropped it again.
I did. I'm dropping everything.
Offset the power drain while playing, but will bump up your max time a fair bit. We plugged in a 5 volt 2.1 amp USB charger and threw Zelda at it with the screen brightness all the way down, and the 3-hour max play time became 5.5 hours before it fully drained. So we did get an extra 50% time, but not enough to keep going indefinitely. And then of course, you have to leave it for 8+ hours before it's fully charged and ready to go again.
And when you're interrupting like a Zelda session for that, that's a very long 8 hours. If you're on the go a lot though, your other option is a mobile battery. Those are getting a lot more common now that people are running around with mobile phones constantly in danger of dying, but you'll still want to hunt around and find the right one. Just because one charges your phone fast doesn't mean it's gonna hold up against the Switch, because that is one greedy console. It wants all your power.
Yeah, we've checked on a bunch of mobile batteries and most of them are more in line with the power output you'll get from those USB plugs, which is meh. This RAV Power Super Brick we got over here.
Feel this. Feel how heavy this is.
This is a pretty good beefer. Yeah.
Yeah, the beefer.
It's usually impressive, but when we actually just took a look, it's only outputting 5 volts and 2.4 amps, which is 1/3 of the wattage the official cable provides. So you'll still be pushing it to get more than 50% improvement out of the battery life. I'm setting this down nicely.
Why bother? So the closest that we've actually found to a battery pack that might break even and get you playing for really, really long on-the-go sessions is actually, it's another RAV Power brick. It's capable of putting out 15 volts and 2 amps if you get a cable that's USB-C on both ends. Otherwise, you're still looking at 5 volts and 2.4 amps if one end is regular old USB. Now, we've got this one on order. Actually, it hasn't arrived yet, so we'll let you know if it lives up to expectation. It's designed for charging MacBooks, so you would hope that it can help us break even on the full gameplay front, especially since that battery is like an extra $50 investment. So we'll leave an update in the description with the results once this particular test is finished.
In general, if you're going to use something other than Nintendo adapter in a pinch, be sure to double check the power output to make sure it's not more than the Switch is designed to handle. Not enough is fine, it just takes longer to charge. The big danger with charging devices is grabbing something that's putting out more volts and amps than your device can handle. It can damage the battery to get too much power, which can ruin it over time or make it explodey and boom, boom, no.
Yeah, the explodey is the one that you really want to worry about. Like, degrading your battery over time is something that I think we're all used to, and suddenly you're like, my phone doesn't charge anymore. But exploding, that's extra bad. And for reference, the Switch can handle 15 volts and 2.6 amps. That's what's designed for the input.
Once again, that's not as likely to be an issue for the Switch because most USB-C chargers aren't outputting power like that. But still, it doesn't hurt to double check the numbers so you don't go boom.
Right. Now, so to recap, that's just under 3 hours battery time for Breath of the Wild on its own, closer to 5.5 hours with a typical USB-C charger or mobile battery plugged in if you don't have the stock Nintendo power adapter. 3 hours to charge with the regular adapter, or 8 or 9 if you're trying to charge it with something else.
That puts it in a similar time frame to the 3DS, which is 3 to 5.5 hours of gaming and a 3.5 battery charge. Or the Vita, which was 3 to 5 hours of gameplay with a 2.5 hour recharge. Although not quite that nice since most of our Zelda tests edge closer to 2.5 hours than to 3.
We like that brightness.
Yeah, it's also well behind something like the iPad Pro, which boasts 10 hours of battery life, but takes a long time to charge.
I feel like those take years to charge sometimes.
Yeah.
So that does it for our big breakdown of everything we know about the Switch's battery life and some of your options for when you take it outside of the house.
What do you guys think of the Switch's battery life? Do you have your solutions all figured out so you can play Zelda for forever? Let us know in the comments.
And if you find any better battery packs, please let us know because I want to keep playing forever. For more updates throughout the week on the soon-to-be-released Switch and for our launch day mega stream on Friday, remember to like this video, and if you're new to our channel, subscribe to the know. Yeah, we're gonna do like 4 hours of Zelda and then 4 hours of other stuff. We're gonna do Spectre of Torment, we're gonna do Snipper Clips, we're gonna do Bomberman, we're gonna do Fast RMX. I'm actually really happy because the launch lineup got a lot better really quickly.
And the stream has mega attached to it.
Yeah.
It's a good word.
Yeah, everyone wants a mega stream.